Okay, everybody, this is the beginning of our class 4, I guess it's or course 4. This is after you've taken HTML 101, after you've taken cascading style sheets, after you've taken JavaScript and jQuery. We're going to try to put all that stuff together to start building some more sophisticated applications. Now, as you've seen with JavaScript, you were able to do some pretty cool things. What we want to do now is put some of these elements together, and I'm going to introduce to you something that I've been using here for 10 or 15 years, and in fact you've actually been using it just without knowing it, which is database driven websites. And what that means, so what we're going to do here is I want to introduce to you the concept of a database driven site and what some of the ones are that are out there. And it also answers questions that you've asked me in the past, which is if I want to have a form and I want to submit information, where can it go? And then we talk about how can you get people to log in and be members of your site. All of that stuff starts to be connected to something else other than just a web page or a web server. Okay? So at its base, a database is just a place where you can store records. Okay, so for instance, when we go here and we look at the lessons, all the lessons for all the classes that you've taken so far, when you go and take a look at them, and actually let's take a look at them right. For instance, these are the lessons that we've done so far in JavaScript. And each one of these is a record in the database. And if I click on one of them, then what it's going to do is take me to a place where only I have control over, where I can set values for certain things, right? Set the value for the title, set the value for the date, set the value for the time, set the value for what class it's in, and I can put lots of stuff in here. I put the videos in here, I put the assignments in here, I put the code in here, and then I press something that you used with your HTML. I click submit. Now, remember how we specified in there, we said that we wanted it to go to a specific class, or I'm sorry, to a specific page, like the, what was it called? The HTML form processing page. You know, I deal with this every day, so you guys might have forgotten that. But what it does is rather than show it into that page, it creates what's called it inserts all of that information into the database. And I'll see if I can look for a good graphic that demonstrates this. But I'm going to show you what inserting into a database is right now. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, and this is on your first lesson. I'm going to give you a tool to create your own little database. And all this is going to do is use my database, but you're going to be able to insert into it records. And specifically, a lot of you have asked me about creating like dynamic photo galleries or quizzes or anything like that. And what you're going to start to do with this is you're going to be able to start creating your database of records that you can either use to create a photo gallery or to administer a quiz. And all that JavaScript that you've learned up to this point, you're going to be able to start implementing. And then we're going to start bringing in some HTML5. We're going to start bringing in some mobile stuff so we can start talking about mobile applications. We're going to be using some cool additional Java query to update your database. So this is really where some of the rubber hits the road. And so what you're going to do here is click here. And this is going to start migrating. We're starting to integrate this stuff into the O'Leary Academy. Don't worry too much about that. You'll be working in here. And right now, this page will be blank for you, but you're going to click Add New. And what that is going to do is give you a form like this, where you'll be able to create the title, the category, a description, an image link, and a web link for a specific element. And then I'll show you what you can do here with that. Okay? And I'm going to show you the code here in a second, but let me just show you how this works. So I'm just going to create my image, and category will be images. Okay? This is all your own control. And I'm going to say this is an image for my project. And then I'm just going to create one here that is http://O'LearyAcademy.com facebook.com/academy/crest JPEG. Okay. Now remember, you know how to do this, but this is the full link. This is something that you find on the web and you paste here. And then I'm going to just put something here, which is just going to be http://nfl.com. And I'm going to click submit. Now what this is doing, I'm going to show you the code here. All right. But what this is doing is just using the form to send this information to a web page. But the web page that we're sending to is special, and it lets us insert that into the database. So I'm going to click submit. And what you can see here is that it takes my image, title, the image, this is the image for my project, and I think maybe one of these is a link, but it saves my information. But let's say I want to do another one, add new. Second image. I'll keep it the same category, images, blah, blah, blah. And then this time I'm going to do HTTP, but I'm going to change it to Fraser. I got a picture of my son up here. Fraser, and I'll say this goes to Disney. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing, but I'm adding this, and now it's storing it. So right now I have these two things. Okay, now that's great, but what I want you to do is I want you to realize that you can be creating this bank, this database of images or data elements or questions and answers or any of that stuff, and then what I'm giving you is I'm actually formatting this into a JavaScript array. So what you can do is copy this, right? And you can use that in your project. So what is your project? Let's go over here. I'm going to switch this to the debug zone. No, to Why Not University, which is where we're going to be doing this project because we're going to be doing some advanced stuff. And I'm going to switch on HTML class homepage. This is going to take me to where I want to be. Don't worry so much about this. I'll build in some links in here for you. And now I want you to try it yourself. Now what I want you to do is realize that you can create this, I'm starting you off with sample code, but you see here that there's an array, var equals elements, and you can just dump your stuff into here, your array, and now you don't have to retype this stuff. You can even have, in theory, you can have multiple people adding information here. This is where you can start having a database-driven website. Now we're kind of playing around with it because we're developing, we're entering the data in one page, and then we're coming over here and we're copying the array. So it's not real time, but I'm going to show you how that can be, where new things that are entered into that form can update your website dynamically. So I click Save Work and Show Web Page, and then I click Create List, and you can see here that my images, my site now is taking that array that I created using my database, right, using the form, and now I'm building it into the site. So what I want you to do here is I want you to you are already obviously watching this video, and then I want you to go to that link, the YPC Young Programmers Club Elements page, and I want you to just start creating a database. So you can do whatever you want. You can do flowers, you can do superheroes, you can do presidents, you can do constitutional elements, amendments. You can do whatever you want, and I would start with just 5 to 10 elements, okay? And then once you have, let me go back here, review lesson, whoops, let me just go back here. So once you have done that, once you've gone to this page, you can add the elements that you want, and now remember, you can use category, because then later on you can make your array, and put an if statement in there that only shows you elements from a certain category, right? You could say, I only want to see flowers, or I only want to see presidents, or whatever. So you can use that to sort. But this is the type of thing that you can do here. And then I want you to go, and I'll put a link here to take you back to this lesson. I want you to go to the lesson, and I want you to make modifications to it, right? I want you can change the look and feel of the, hold on a second, HTML class. You can go back here and you can modify, I give you some startup CSS, but you can modify this. I give you one JavaScript function. Remember, you're using jQuery, but one JavaScript function here. But this is where we can start playing around with this and making it more sophisticated. But what I want you to do is I want you to be using your own list of elements. Okay, so your first assignment for the startup of this course is just to create your own little database of elements that you want to start interacting with. Again, it could be sports teams, it could be presidents, it could be flowers, it could be anatomy, it could be poems, it could be whatever. A couple of warnings for you though, okay? Just to be aware. Remember two things that will bedevil you and make you upset as you're working through this. Anything that you put into the database is going to have to be converted into an array, right? And that array means that it's going to be put into a JavaScript statement. What are JavaScript statements really, really finicky and peculiar about? One, quotes, okay? Don't put quotes in any of your statements here, okay? If I did second image like this, it would become a problem. It would confuse the JavaScript and it will give you a problem. Just be aware. That's one big thing. The other big thing that we're going to have to deal with a little bit later, but I want you to just be aware of it is, so quotes here are going to be a problem as well. All right. So if you're doing quotes, do it like this. These become a little easier. The other thing to be aware of is that line breaks might become a problem for you. Let's give that a quick test. So if I say, get rid of this one, and I say, this is my image. Let's see if that works without a problem. We know it's going to be work there, but do you see it creates this break here? I think that that's going to cause a problem in my JavaScript, okay? We have a way to get around it, but we're not going to deal with that right now. So if I come over here and do HTML class, and again, I'll get you there, so don't sweat that. But I go try it yourself. And then I paste my array here. I bet this is not going to work. Okay, it doesn't work. So we're going to have to deal with that. Don't worry about it. But if I change this, see, I bet if I change that, it's going to work fine. See, it's all about that. It gets confused by that empty space, okay? There's a way for us to deal with it, but it's not something that we're going to deal with in this first lesson, all right? So go through your step, and you can play around with the JavaScript. Whatever you do here, I'm going to probably want you to share on the showcase so we can just start playing around with it, all right? Good first lesson, and then we're going to start working with this and making it more interactive, okay?